Hey there. Tonight, we're going to drift into those quiet, unseen estuaries of the mind, where the rivers of everyday thought meet the vast, uncharted ocean of imagination. Picture, if you will, a library where the shelves are carved from ancient, silent clouds, and the books don't contain words, but rather the distinct, unplaceable scent of rain on warm stone in a city you've never visited, or the precise golden light of a sunset over a harbor whose boats are woven from mist and the tides whisper forgotten names. You probably won't remember any of this, and honestly, that's kind of the point. So, before you fully zone out, go ahead and like this video and subscribe, but only if you actually vibe with what I do here. It would be lovely to know where you're listening from and what time it is in your little corner of the world, so feel free to leave a comment below. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's wander through tonight's thought together. Have you ever felt it? That quiet, almost imperceptible tug? A faint, delicate ache in a part of your soul you didn't know you possessed? A yearning for a place that flickers at the very edge of your memory, yet has no name, no coordinates on any map you've ever seen. It's like a homesickness for a home you've never had, a nostalgia for experiences that remain stubbornly unlived. You try to grasp it, this phantom landscape, this unseen shore, but it's like trying to hold smoke or capture the specific shade of blue in a fading dream. The more you focus, the more it seems to recede, leaving behind only the lingering perfume of its passage, a bittersweet fragrance of elsewhere. This feeling, it often arrives unbidden, doesn't it? Perhaps it's a certain quality of late afternoon light, slanting through your window, illuminating dust motes dancing in a way that suddenly, inexplicably makes your heart ache with a sense of profound, unspecific longing. Or it could be a snatch of melody, heard from a passing car or a distant radio. A sequence of notes that seems to unlock a hidden door in your mind, revealing, just for an instant, a glimpse of a street, a room, a vista that feels more familiar than your own reflection. You might be reading a book, a line of poetry, or even a dry, factual account, and a single phrase, a particular description will detonate within you like a soft, luminous depth charge, and suddenly you miss it. You miss this place conjured by words, miss it with an intensity that surprises you, a longing so palpable it feels like a physical presence beside you. You wonder where these whispers of unseen shores originate. Are they echoes from dreams you've mostly forgotten? The lingering emotional residue of nocturnal journeys to realms built by your sleeping mind? You remember waking sometimes with a profound sense of loss, a feeling that you've just left somewhere incredibly important, somewhere you belonged, but the details are already dissolving like mist in the morning sun. Only the ache remains, the phantom limb of a lost geography. Maybe these unvisited places are the homelands of those dream selves, and the nostalgia is their faint call, bleeding through into your waking hours. You entertain the whimsical thought that perhaps your dreams are postcards from these other, more authentic versions of yourself, living out lives in cities where the rivers flow with liquid moonlight and the libraries contain the unspoken thoughts of ancient trees. Or perhaps these phantom landscapes are born from the fertile soil of imagination, fertilized by all the stories you've absorbed, all the art you've witnessed, all the music that has ever stirred your soul. They are composites, amalgams of 1,000 beautiful, poignant, or mysterious fragments pieced together by your subconscious into a cohesive, emotionally resonant whole. A tower from one painting, a forest from another, the atmosphere from a half-remembered film, the feeling of peace from a childhood reverie, all stitched together with the invisible thread of your own unique yearning. You imagine your mind as a vast, cosmic beachcomber, collecting shimmering shells of imagery and emotion, then arranging them into intricate, temporary mosaics on the shores of your consciousness, these mosaics being the very places you find yourself missing. It's a peculiar kind of homesickness, isn't it? Because how can you be homesick for a place that, by all rational accounts, doesn't exist? yet the feeling is undeniably real, as potent as any nostalgia for a childhood home or a beloved, distant city. It's a deeper, more ethereal kind of longing, untethered to actual memory, yet anchored firmly in some core part of your being. You feel it in your chest, a gentle pressure, a sense of something missing, something you were meant to know, to experience. It's like searching for a word that's forever on the tip of your tongue. But this word is a world, a whole universe of sensation and emotion. You wonder if these places are not non-existent, but rather exist on a different plane, a vibrational frequency your soul is tuned to, but your physical senses can only occasionally, fleetingly perceive. Think about the quality of these places. They are rarely sharply defined, are they? More often, they are atmospheres, moods, qualities of light and shadow. You might not be able to describe the architecture of the buildings in that phantom city, but you can feel the cool, smooth stone of its ancient walls under your fingertips. You can smell the unique blend of spices and rain, and something indefinably floral in its marketplaces. You can hear the distant, melodic call of a bird you can't name, echoing through its silent, sun-dappled squares. It's a sensory tapestry woven from threads of pure emotion, a city where the silence itself seems to have a color, perhaps a deep, velvety indigo, and the shadows are not empty, but full of soft, unspoken stories. Perhaps these places are trying to communicate with you. What if they are not just passive constructs of your mind, but have a faint, nascent consciousness of their own? They yearn for you, just as you yearned for them. They whisper to you in the rustle of leaves, in the pattern of clouds, in the spaces between your thoughts, inviting you to what? To remember them, to build them more fully in your imagination, to somehow, someday, find a way to truly visit? You get a surreal image of one such place, a quiet, forgotten cove where the waves are made of liquid silver, sighing a gentle, foamy sigh, missing the observer who has only ever glimpsed it in a half-second reverie. The seed of this impossible homesickness, once planted, can be surprisingly tenacious. It lies dormant for a while, then a particular song, a specific scent of rain on dry earth, or even the way the wind moves through the trees on an autumn afternoon will water it, and the longing will bloom again, fresh and poignant. You might find yourself staring out of a window, not seeing what's actually there, but gazing instead into the mists of this internal landscape, feeling its pull, its gentle, insistent invitation. It's a quiet companion, this yearning, a secret you carry within you, a testament to the vast, uncharted territories of your own inner world. You might even develop a strange sort of affection for this ache, this bittersweet phantom pain, because it reminds you that there is more to reality, more to your own being, than what is immediately apparent. You wonder if this feeling is a uniquely human experience, or if other creatures, other consciousnesses, also feel this pull towards unseen shores. Does a migrating bird, flying thousands of miles to a place it has never been, feel a similar instinctual homesickness for its destination, guided by an internal map woven from starlight and magnetic fields and the faint ancestral memory of a perfect nesting ground? Or perhaps even trees, in their slow, silent way, yearn for a quality of sunlight, a specific taste of earth that exists only in their deepest, oldest rings of memory, a botanical nostalgia for a forest primeval. You imagine a very old, very wise cat purring on a sunlit windowsill, not just dreaming of chasing mice, but of a perfect, warm rooftop in a city built of jasper and moonlight, a place it knows intimately, yet has never physically visited. This longing is often so private, so difficult to articulate. How do you describe a place made of feelings rather than facts? How do you share a map that is drawn in shades of melancholy and whispers of peace? When you try to explain it to someone, the words often feel clumsy, inadequate, like trying to catch moonlight in a sieve. It's sort of like a city, but the buildings are softer, and the light, it just feels different. And you see the polite confusion in their eyes, and you retreat back into the quiet solitude of your own internal world, where this place, at least, understands you, or you understand it, in a silent, intuitive way. Does the inherent ineffability of these experiences make them more precious or more isolating? This question settles in your mind, a soft, philosophical pebble dropped into a still pond. Sometimes, this phantom place has a distinct sensory signature. It might be a particular, unidentifiable fragrance, something like old books mixed with sea salt and a hint of wild herbs, that, if you were to smell it in the waking world, would instantly transport you, would make you weep with a strange, joyful recognition. Or it could be a specific sound, a low, resonant hum, or the distant chime of bells that seem to mark a different kind of time, a time that flows more slowly, more gently. You find yourself half listening for these sounds, half smelling for these fragrances in your everyday life, always hoping for a fleeting confirmation that this inner world has an external counterpart, however faint. You picture yourself walking down a busy street, and suddenly, a particular combination of wind and distant traffic noise perfectly replicates the soundscape of your imagined haven. And for a moment, just a moment, the veil thins, and you are almost there. What if these places are fragments of a collective human dream, a shared reservoir of archetypal landscapes that we all, unknowingly, tap into? The serene, hidden valley, the majestic, crystalline city, the ancient, whispering forest, the starlit desert oasis. Are these places that humanity, as a whole, vaguely remembers or deeply longs for? Perhaps they are the psychic blueprints of a more ideal existence, a spiritual homeland that haunts our collective subconscious. You imagine these shared dream places as vast, ethereal continents floating in the noosphere, accessible to anyone who learns to tune their inner radio to the right frequency. Imagine if, when two people discover they both miss a remarkably similar, non-existent place, they are actually attuning to the same psychic landmark, recognizing a shared, unspoken citizenship in a republic of dreams. The power of a single image or a few words to evoke this feeling is quite extraordinary. A forgotten illustration in a dusty children's book depicting a landscape that is both alien and deeply familiar. A throwaway line in a novel describing a room where the light falls in a particular way, and suddenly you are in that room. You know its textures, its scent, its silent invitation. It's as if these external triggers are keys, unlocking chambers within you that you didn't know existed, chambers that are already furnished, already imbued with atmosphere waiting for you to enter. You might wonder if the artists, the writers, the musicians who create these triggers are themselves just more adept at visiting these unseen shores, acting as travel agents for the soul, offering us fleeting glimpses of their own beloved, imaginary homelands. Perhaps they don't create so much as receive these places, like signals from a distant, beautiful transmitter. You consider the first time you truly became aware of this feeling. Was it in childhood when the lines between reality and imagination were more permeable? Perhaps it was a treehouse that existed only in your mind, but felt more real, more comforting than any physical structure. Or a secret garden glimpsed through a gate that was never there, a garden where the flowers whispered secrets and the fountains flowed with liquid light. These early phantom places, they often have a particular purity, a luminous quality, untainted by the complexities and compromises of the adult world. And the longing for them can be especially poignant, a nostalgia not just for a place, but for a state of being, a time of innocent wonder. You can almost feel the rough bark of that imaginary tree, or the cool, damp earth of that spectral garden, even now. What if these unseen shores are not entirely of your own making, nor entirely of the collective unconscious, but are, in some strange way, real places in a parallel dimension, bleeding through into our reality at moments of heightened sensitivity or imaginative focus? A bizarre image flashes in your mind. A physicist, hunched over complex equations, suddenly looks up, a look of profound bewilderment on their face, as they realize their calculations predict the faint, unmistakable aroma of cinnamon and old parchment emanating from a specific, empty point in space. The signature scent of a library in a dimension just next door. It's a whimsical thought, of course, but it speaks to that deep, intuitive feeling that these places have a kind of objective reality, even if it's a reality we can't touch or measure with our current tools. The ache of missing these places can be surprisingly physical. A tightness in your throat, a hollowness in your chest, a restlessness in your limbs. You feel compelled to pace, to gaze out of windows, to sigh for reasons you can't quite articulate. It's as if your body remembers the geography of these phantom lands, your muscles recalling the slope of a particular hill, your feet knowing the texture of an unpaved path, your lungs still holding the memory of air that was clearer, sweeter, or perhaps tinged with the salt of an ocean that exists only in your soul. You might find yourself unconsciously adopting a posture, a way of holding your head that belongs to that other place, a subtle echo of a self that walks those unseen shores. And the names you try to give them, if you try at all, they are always inadequate. The city of quiet bells, the forest of whispering light, the harbor of lost stars. These names are just signposts pointing towards something far richer, far more complex than words can convey. The true name of the place, you suspect, is a feeling, a specific emotional resonance that has no verbal equivalent. It's a language your heart understands, even if your tongue cannot speak it. You might even feel a slight reluctance to name them, as if affixing a label might somehow diminish their mystery, their ethereal power, like pinning a butterfly to a board. Sometimes, this longing is tinged with a profound sense of peace, almost a contradiction. You miss the place, yes, but the very act of missing it, of dwelling in its imagined presence, brings a strange kind of comfort. It's as if, by acknowledging this ethereal homesickness, you are acknowledging a deeper, more authentic part of yourself, a part that is not entirely of this world, a part that remembers or intuits something more. This remembered peace, this anticipated serenity is a balm, even as the absence of the place itself is an ache. You imagine a serene valley bathed in perpetual twilight, where the trees have silver leaves that rustle with the sound of gentle, flowing water, and just thinking of it slows your breathing, calms your mind. What if these places are not lost, but are waiting to be found, or perhaps to be created? Could this deep, inexplicable longing be a form of creative impulse, a gentle nudge from the universe to bring something beautiful, something meaningful into existence? Perhaps the artist who paints a landscape that haunts their dreams is not just exorcising a phantom, but giving it form, making it accessible to others. Perhaps the musician who composes a melody that evokes a sense of unplaceable nostalgia is actually transcribing the theme song of one of these unseen shores. You wonder if your own longing for these non-existent places is a quiet call to create, to build, to somehow manifest a fragment of their beauty in your own life, in your own world. The persistence of this feeling across years, across different phases of your life, is also remarkable. Other desires fade, other longings are fulfilled or forgotten. But this quiet homesickness for the place that never was, it often remains, a subtle undercurrent in the river of your experience. It's a reminder of an inner compass, always pointing towards an invisible true north, a sanctuary that exists outside of time and space as we commonly understand them. You might go for long periods without consciously thinking of it, and then, one day, you'll see a particular shade of blue in the twilight sky, or hear a child laugh in a certain way, and the pang will return, as fresh and as poignant as ever, a familiar old friend. This beautiful, impossible ache. Consider the possibility that these places are trying to teach you something. What if the qualities you yearn for in that phantom city, its peace, its beauty, its sense of timeless wisdom, are qualities that you are meant to cultivate within yourself or in your own environment? Perhaps the missing is a form of spiritual hunger, a longing for a state of being that this imagined place perfectly embodies. The unseen shore is not a destination, but a metaphor for your own deepest potential. A city where all the inhabitants communicate telepathically, not with words, but with shared feelings of empathy and understanding. Perhaps missing such a place is a yearning for deeper connection in your own life. You let your mind drift to the earliest whispers of such a place. Perhaps it wasn't a full landscape, but just a single intriguing detail. A glimpse of a peculiar, glowing moss growing on ancient stones. The sound of wind chimes made from shells you've never seen. The feeling of a particular kind of silence, a silence that isn't empty but full of presence. These tiny seeds, these fragments of an unknown world, can take root and grow into vast, complex inner landscapes over time, each new detail adding to the richness, the specificity of the place you find yourself missing. You imagine these details as tiny, luminous breadcrumbs, leading you deeper into the forest of your own imagination. And the weather in these places. It's rarely turbulent or harsh, is it? More often, it's a gentle, atmospheric condition that perfectly complements the mood of the landscape. A soft, perpetual twilight in a city of ancient scholars. A gentle, sun-drenched haze in a valley of impossible peace. A fine, silvery mist that constantly kisses the shores of a spectral ocean. The weather itself is an emotion, a tangible expression of the place's essence. You can almost feel the cool kiss of that silver mist on your skin, or the warm, hazy air filling your lungs. You imagine a place where it always rains very, very softly, and the raindrops are tiny, iridescent pearls that dissolve into fragrant steam when they touch anything warm. What if these places are escape hatches? Little pocket universes your mind creates to retreat to when the everyday world becomes too harsh, too loud, too demanding. They are sanctuaries, built to your own soul's specifications, where you can find respite, solace, a moment of perfect, unassailable peace. The longing for them, then, is not just a whimsical fancy, but a deep psychological need, a homing instinct for the soul's true resting place. You picture a hidden door, disguised as an ordinary crack in a wall or a particular shadow under a tree that only you can see. A door that leads directly to your most cherished unseen shore. And the light. The light in these places is always special, isn't it? It's never just ordinary sunlight or moonlight. It's light that seems to emanate from the objects themselves. Or light that is filtered through an atmosphere of pure gold, or silver, or a soft, pearlescent rose. It's a light that sculpts and defines, that reveals and conceals, that holds a mystery in its very radiance. You find yourself mesmerized by this imagined illumination, by the way it falls on the unseen architecture, the way it shimmers on the surface of phantom waters. A city built entirely of translucent, pale green jade, lit from within by a soft, pulsating glow, its towers reaching towards a sky of permanent, star-filled dusk. The memory of such light, even if only imagined, can cast a different hue on your perception of the ordinary world. The first faint pang, that initial whisper. It's so subtle, so easily dismissed. A momentary flicker in your peripheral vision, a fleeting scent that disappears before you can identify it. A tune that fades as soon as you try to hum it. But if you pay attention, if you allow yourself to acknowledge this delicate sensation, it can open up entire worlds within you. It's an invitation to explore the vast, unmapped territories of your own consciousness, to become an adventurer in the landscapes of your soul. An open-ended question gently forms. If this first faint whisper is a key, what door within you do you sense it is trying to unlock? There's no need to answer, only to feel the presence of that unopened door, that potential for discovery. Perhaps these whispers are not of places that never existed, but of places that could exist, or that exist in a state of pure potentiality, waiting for consciousness to perceive them into a more concrete, albeit still internal, reality. You, by feeling this longing, by focusing your imagination, are acting as a sort of midwife to these nascent worlds, helping them to take their first shimmering breaths in the ether of thought. You are a co-creator, a silent partner in the universe's endless process of imagining itself into being. What a strange and wonderful responsibility that would be. You recall moments of intense focus, perhaps when deeply engrossed in a creative task, or in a state of profound meditation, where the veil between worlds seems to thin, and the whispers of these unseen shores become almost audible. In these moments, the longing is less an ache and more a sense of imminent arrival, as if you were standing on the very threshold about to step through. The air around you seems to crackle with a different energy. The light takes on a new quality, and for a heartbeat, you are utterly convinced that if you just turned your head in the right way or took one more step, you would be there. And then the moment passes, the veil thickens again, and you are left with the familiar sweet ache and the lingering scent of elsewhere. This first faint pang. It's the universe's way of reminding you that you are more than just your physical body, more than just your everyday thoughts and concerns. You are a being with access to infinite landscapes, a citizen of a reality far vaster and more mysterious than you can consciously comprehend. These unseen shores are your birthright, your inner heritage. And the homesickness you feel for them is not a sign of delusion, but a testament to the depth and breadth of your own spirit, a quiet recognition of your true, multidimensional home. You allow that thought to settle, a soft, comforting blanket, as the whispers of unseen shores continue to murmur at the edges of your awareness, beckoning you further into the gentle labyrinth of your own mind. The echoes of those first faint whispers, the subtle, unplaceable longing for shores unseen, now begin to coalesce in your drifting mind. It's no longer just a fleeting ache of formless yearning. Instead, your imagination, that patient and skilled architect of inner worlds, starts to lay down the blueprints, to draft the ethereal schematics of these places your heart desires, but your feet have never trod. You find yourself not just missing them vaguely, but actively, lovingly, constructing their detailed sensory landscapes, brick by invisible brick, leaf by luminous leaf. It's as if, having acknowledged the longing, you are now compelled to give it form, to build a haven for that homesickness within the very structure of your thoughts. Remember that phantom city you glimpsed? Now, you allow yourself to wander its streets, to map its contours with the cartography of your mind's eye. Perhaps it's a city built along silent, glowing canals, the water itself a soft, phosphorescent green or a deep, liquid sapphire, reflecting buildings that seem woven from solidified moonlight and shadows. The bridges that span these canals are not of stone or steel, but perhaps of intricately carved ancient wood that hums with a faint, resonant energy. Or maybe they are arches of pure, unmelting ice that sparkle with 1,000 captured starlight glints. You can feel the coolness radiating from them, smell the clean, sharp scent of frozen air mixed with something ancient and floral, a perfume unique to this imagined metropolis. There are no noisy vehicles here, only slender, silent boats that glide along the waterways, propelled by unseen currents or by the gentle, rhythmic polling of cloaked figures whose faces remain always in shadow. You wonder what goods these boats carry, perhaps dreams collected from sleeping poets, or rare, silent spices that can alter perception, or maps of constellations that no human eye has ever seen. Or maybe the place your heart yearns for is not a city, but a vast, serene wilderness. An ancient forest, where the trees are not just trees, but colossal, sentient beings, their bark like the wrinkled skin of elephants, their leaves shimmering with 1,000 shades of impossible green and gold. And these trees, they hum. Not a sound you hear with your ears, but a deep, resonant vibration you feel in your bones, in the very marrow of your being. It's a lullaby of immense antiquity, a song of slow growth, deep roots, and the patient wisdom of millennia. The forest floor is not covered in ordinary soil, but in a soft, springy moss that glows faintly in the perpetual twilight beneath the dense canopy, a moss that cushions your every imagined footstep. And the air is thick with the scent of damp earth, decaying leaves, and a strange, sweet resin that seeps from the humming trees, a fragrance that speaks of peace and timelessness. You might imagine small, shy creatures moving through this forest, their eyes like jewels in the dim light, their forms unlike anything known to earthly zoology. Perhaps deer with antlers of branched coral, or squirrels that weave nests from spun moonlight. You allow your senses to fully inhabit these constructed realms. What is the texture of the air? Is it cool and crisp, like the first breath of autumn in your imagined city of canals? Or is it warm and humid, heavy with the scent of unknown blossoms, in your secret tropical cove where the sand is the color of crushed pearls and the water is as clear as liquid glass? You can feel the sun, not a harsh, burning sun, but a gentle, caressing warmth, filtering through the leaves of your humming forest, or casting long, soft shadows across the plazas of your silent city. You can almost taste the water from a phantom spring. Cool, pure, with a hint of minerals you can't quite identify, a taste that quenches a thirst you didn't know you had. You imagine finding a hidden spring in your forest, bubbling up from moss-covered rocks, the water so clear it's almost invisible, and cupping your hands to drink, feeling its life-giving coolness spread through you. The architecture in these non-existent places, it often defies the laws of physics as we know them, doesn't it? Towers that spiral impossibly high, seeming to pierce the very fabric of the sky, their summits lost in clouds of gold or silver. Buildings that seem to grow organically from the landscape, like colossal petrified fungi, or structures carved directly into the faces of mountains made of amethyst or obsidian. Perhaps there's a library in your imagined city where the walls are made of translucent amber, and the light filtering through them illuminates scrolls written in a language of pure, flowing light. Or a marketplace where the stalls are fashioned from giant iridescent seashells, and the goods on display are shimmering illusions, dreams for sale. You can almost hear the soft, melodic bartering, a language of chimes and whispers, and the sounds, or the silences. In your city of glowing canals, perhaps the only sounds are the gentle lapping of water against the stone embankments, the faint sigh of the wind through impossibly delicate arches, and occasionally the distant bell-like call of a bird that nests in the highest, most inaccessible spires. There's a profound peace in this imagined soundscape, a quiet that allows you to hear your own thoughts, or perhaps to hear the thoughts of the city itself. In your humming forest, the silence is punctuated by the deep thrum of the trees, the rustle of unseen creatures, the occasional drip of moisture from the high canopy. It's a living silence, full of presence, not absence. You might imagine a place where the silence itself has a texture, like velvet or cool silk. A silence you can almost reach out and touch. You find yourself paying attention to the details, the small, specific elements that make these places feel so uniquely, personally real. In your phantom harbor are the boats rigged with sails made of woven spider silk, impossibly strong yet ethereally light, catching a wind that smells of salt and forgotten stars. Are the cobblestones in that winding alleyway in your dream city warm to the touch, even at night, radiating a gentle, stored heat? Does the fruit that grows on the trees in your hidden valley have a taste that is a perfect blend of sweet and tart with an aftertaste of pure, unadulterated joy? These details, lovingly crafted by your imagination, are what give these places their solidity, their undeniable presence in your inner world. You picture yourself picking one of these fruits, its skin smooth and cool, its color a shade you've never seen before, and taking a bite, the flavor exploding on your tongue, a taste of pure, distilled happiness. Does the act of meticulously imagining these non-existent places somehow make them more real, or does it simply deepen the longing for what can never be? This philosophical question hovers, a gentle mist in the landscape of your thoughts. Perhaps it does both. Perhaps by building them so carefully in your mind, you are creating a more tangible internal sanctuary, a place you can return to again and again, even as the very act of returning reinforces the bittersweet knowledge of its unreachability in the physical world. It's a paradox you embrace, this creation of a reality that thrives on its own impossibility. You might even find yourself drawing maps of these places, not on paper, but in the soft clay of your pre-sleep consciousness, tracing the course of those silent rivers, marking the locations of particular significant trees in your ancient forest, noting the precise arrangement of squares and alleyways in your city of whispers. These maps are not for navigation in any practical sense, but are acts of devotion, of familiarization. You are becoming a citizen of your own imaginary geography. You imagine a specific recurring dream place, a vast, multi-leveled library, where the stairs are spirals of polished black stone, and the shelves stretch up into shadowy infinity. And you know, with absolute certainty, that on a particular shelf, in a particular forgotten alcove, lies the book that contains the answer to your deepest, unspoken question. You search for it, night after night, in this blueprint of your heart's desire, and the flora and fauna. In your imagined wildernesses, the plants are not just beautiful, but often possess subtle magical properties. Flowers that change color with your mood, or that emit a soft, calming light in the darkness. Trees whose leaves, when brewed, create a tea that allows you to understand the language of animals, or to remember your own forgotten dreams with perfect clarity. Mosses that, when touched, impart a feeling of profound peace or deep wisdom. And the creatures, they are not monsters, not threats, but rather serene, enigmatic inhabitants, guardians of the place's unique spirit. Perhaps gentle, six-legged grazers with fur like spun moonlight, or birds whose songs are not just melodies, but complex philosophical statements. You might even imagine a place populated by dragons, but not fearsome, fire-breathing beasts. Rather, ancient, wise beings with scales like multifaceted jewels, who spend their eons contemplating the mysteries of the universe, their thoughts like slow, deep music resonating through the mountains they call home. Even mundane objects in these imagined realms take on a special quality. A simple wooden bench in a hidden garden in your phantom city, it's not just a place to sit, but a place where countless imaginary scholars have rested, leaving behind an aura of contemplative peace. The wood itself seems to absorb and radiate this tranquility. A cup found in an abandoned hermitage in your spectral mountains. It's not just a vessel, but it holds the faint taste of 1,000 forgotten infusions, the essence of herbs that no longer grow, the distilled wisdom of solitary mystics. You can almost feel the smooth, worn coolness of that cup in your imagined hands, a tangible link to an intangible past. You picture this cup made of a dark, unidentifiable ceramic with a single faint crack that seems to glow with a soft inner light. The boundaries of these places are often fluid, aren't they? Your city of glowing canals might gradually merge into your ancient, humming forest at its outskirts, the stone buildings giving way to moss-covered ruins, the waterways becoming slow, dark streams that wind their way between colossal tree roots. Or your serene, hidden valley might have, at its highest point, a single shimmering gateway that leads to a realm of pure, starlit void, where the constellations are close enough to touch. These transitions are seamless, dreamlike, obeying a logic that is emotional rather than geographical. You aren't constrained by the rules of the waking world. Your imagination is free to connect these beloved landscapes in whatever way feels most resonant, most beautiful. And the light sources, beyond the sun or moon, what illuminates these realms? Perhaps the glowing canals themselves are the primary source of light in your dream city, or the moss on the forest floor, or the leaves of the trees. Maybe there are floating spheres of soft, cool light that drift through the streets, or crystals embedded in the walls that pulse with a gentle, rhythmic luminescence. You imagine a vast, underground cavern, part of one of your unseen worlds, where the only light comes from enormous, bioluminescent fungi, casting an ethereal, blue-green glow on stalactites that drip with water tasting of ancient earth and starlight. The quality of light is so integral to the atmosphere, the very soul of these places. You might find yourself revisiting the same few cherished, non-existent places again and again, each time adding a new detail, exploring a previously unseen corner, deepening your familiarity. They become like old friends, these landscapes of the mind, reliable sanctuaries. You know the curve of a particular street, the feel of a specific type of stone underfoot, the scent of the air in that hidden courtyard where the silent fountain plays. This repetition is not boring, but comforting, a reinforcement of the reality of this inner world. It's like rereading a beloved book, always finding new nuances, new layers of meaning. What if these blueprints are not just for places, but for feelings? Perhaps the city you construct with such loving detail is not primarily a physical space, but an architecture of peace, a blueprint for serenity. The forest is a blueprint for connection with nature, for a sense of timeless belonging. The harbor is a blueprint for adventure and the gentle melancholy of departures and arrivals. Each landscape is a carefully constructed emotional state, a place you can go to experience a particular desired feeling. This makes your role as architect even more profound. You're not just building imaginary worlds, but crafting the very emotional weather of your inner life. The sheer, unadulterated beauty of these places can be overwhelming, even in imagination. A beauty that is pure, untainted, perfectly aligned with your deepest aesthetic sensibilities. It's a beauty that makes your heart ache, not with sadness, but with a kind of joyful recognition, as if you are remembering a perfection you once knew or are destined to know again. You might imagine a coastline in one of these realms, where cliffs of pure white marble meet a sea of turquoise so intense it seems to vibrate, and the sky above is a perpetual, soft rose gold, and the air is filled with the sound of distant ethereal choirs. Just holding this image in your mind can bring a profound sense of awe, of wonder. You consider the possibility that these places are actively inviting you to build them, that the initial faint whisper of longing was a seed, and your subsequent imaginative construction is the process of nurturing that seed into a full-grown, magnificent tree, a world tree in the landscape of your mind. The more detail you add, the more love you pour into its creation, the stronger its roots become, the more real it feels. It's a collaborative process between the initial spark of unknown origin and your own creative consciousness. You are tending your own secret inner garden, and the materials you use for this construction, they are not of this world. They are woven from emotions, memories, both real and imagined, archetypes, and pure, unadulterated longing. The mortar that holds the stones of your phantom city together is a specific shade of melancholy or a particular quality of peace. The leaves of your humming trees are colored with the precise hue of a forgotten childhood joy. These are materials that are infinitely malleable, infinitely expressive, allowing you to build worlds that perfectly reflect the deepest contours of your soul. You imagine yourself as a sculptor, but instead of clay or stone, you are working with pure feeling, shaping it into landscapes of breathtaking, impossible beauty. What if these places have a purpose beyond being personal sanctuaries? What if, by building them so vividly in your mind, you are somehow contributing to a collective reservoir of beauty and peace, a kind of psychic Shangri-La that others can, perhaps unconsciously, tap into? Your private act of imaginative construction becomes a quiet gift to the world, a bizarre yet lovely thought. A stressed commuter on a crowded train suddenly feels a fleeting, inexplicable moment of profound peace, a cool breeze that smells of unknown flowers, because your mind, miles away, is deeply immersed in constructing a serene, hidden valley. The blueprints become more intricate, the details more vivid, the sensory experiences more immersive. You are not just an observer in these realms, but an inhabitant, a citizen. You know the secret paths, the quietest corners, the places where the light is most beautiful. These are your true homelands, the landscapes of your heart's deepest desire. And as you drift further into the quiet spaces of your mind, you continue to build, to explore, to refine these precious, non-existent places, finding in their imagined reality a solace, a beauty, and a sense of belonging that is uniquely, perfectly your own. The soft hum of the fan becomes the wind in your ancient forest. The dim light in your room becomes the twilight in your city of canals. You are there. Having meticulously drafted the blueprints of these ethereal landscapes, having wandered their silent streets and felt the texture of their impossible foliage, your mind, in its ever-deepening drift, now turns to the question of who or what might dwell there. These places, so rich in atmosphere, so potent with emotion, surely cannot be empty. Your imagination begins to populate these phantom realms, not with characters from a story, but with presences, with beings, with entities that seem to belong intrinsically to the very fabric of these non-existent worlds. You find yourself wondering about the unspoken languages they might share, the silent understandings that pass between them. the unique societies they might form in these places you almost knew, these havens your heart has built. Remember your city of glowing canals with its silent, gliding boats. Who are the figures who pole them? You've only seen them as cloaked and shadowy. Now, you allow your imagination to gently lift a corner of one of those hoods. Perhaps their faces are not human as you understand it, but are serene, sculpted countenances with large, luminous eyes that reflect the light of the canals, eyes that seem to hold the wisdom of ancient rivers and forgotten tides. They don't speak with voices, you sense, but communicate through subtle gestures of their long, delicate hands, or perhaps through a direct transmission of thought and feeling, a language of pure empathy. You imagine them as the city's keepers, its silent guardians, their lives dedicated to maintaining the harmony of the waterways and the ancient, glowing architecture. They might be scholars of light and shadow, or poets whose verses are written in the ripples on the water. Or consider your ancient forest where the trees hum forgotten lullabies. What beings move through its perpetual twilight, beneath the canopy of those colossal, sentient trees? You've glimpsed shy creatures with jewel-like eyes. Perhaps there are also solitary hermits, figures who have chosen to live in perfect symbiosis with the forest, their skin like bark, their hair like moss, their movements as slow and deliberate as the growth of the trees themselves. They don't build houses, but find shelter in the hollows of the great trees, or in caves curtained with luminous fungi. Their language might be the rustling of leaves, the creak of branches, the subtle inflections in the forest's deep hum. They are the listeners, the interpreters of the tree's ancient songs, their lives a testament to a profound, silent communion with the natural world. You might picture one such hermit, sitting cross-legged at the foot of a giant, humming tree, their eyes closed, their face a mask of serene attentiveness, absorbing the wisdom of the forest like sunlight. In these imagined realms, the inhabitants often seem to possess a deep, inherent peacefulness, don't they? There's rarely conflict or strife. Their societies, if you can call them that, seem based on principles of harmony, cooperation, and a profound respect for their environment. In your city of silent canals, perhaps the concept of ownership doesn't exist. Everything is shared. Everything is cared for collectively. The glowing light of the canals themselves might be a form of communal energy, drawn from the city's collective consciousness of peace. In your humming forest, the hermits and the gentle, six-legged creatures might live in a state of mutual, unspoken understanding, each respecting the other's space, each contributing to the delicate balance of the ecosystem. You imagine a society where currency is not gold or coin, but acts of kindness, or moments of shared beauty. What about the creatures you imagined? Those deer with antlers of branched coral, or the squirrels that weave nests from spun moonlight? Do they have their own complex social structures, their own rituals, their own ways of perceiving the world that are utterly alien yet strangely comprehensible to your intuitive self? You picture those coral-antlered deer gathering in a moonlit glade, their antlers glowing softly, not to spar or mate, but perhaps to engage in a silent, communal dream, their combined consciousness creating a shimmering, temporary dome of shared imagery and emotion above them. Or the moonlight-weaving squirrels, meticulously crafting intricate, luminous patterns in their nests, not just for shelter, but as a form of art, an offering to the spirit of the forest. A bizarre image surfaces. A council of very wise, very old badgers, wearing tiny, impeccably tailored waistcoats made of woven dandelion fluff, solemnly discussing the philosophical implications of a particularly beautiful sunset they all witnessed. The languages spoken or unspoken in these realms fascinate you. If not words, then what? In your city of ancient scholars with the translucent amber library, perhaps they communicate by projecting complex colored light patterns onto the walls, each pattern a sentence, a paragraph, an entire treatise. Or they might touch fingertips, exchanging information through a subtle transfer of bioluminescent energy. In your hidden valley, where the fruit tastes of joy, maybe the inhabitants communicate through shared emotions, their feelings rippling outwards like visible auras, understood instantly by all around them. There's no need for deception, no room for misunderstanding when communication is so direct, so transparent. You wonder what it would feel like to live in a place where your deepest feelings were always perfectly understood without the need for clumsy, inadequate words. Does the nature of the inhabitants we imagine for these non-existent places reflect our own deepest desires for connection, for understanding, for a more harmonious way of being? This philosophical prompt drifts into your mind, like a gentle breeze ruffling the leaves of your humming forest. Are these imagined beings the idealized others we long for? Companions who embody the virtues we find lacking in our own world, or perhaps aspire to in ourselves? Their serenity, their wisdom, their silent empathy. Are these not qualities we all, on some level, crave? You consider places that might be populated not by humanoid beings or familiar animals, but by something far more abstract. What if, in your realm of pure, starlit void, where the constellations are close enough to touch, the inhabitants are the stars themselves, engaged in slow, silent conversations that span eons, their language the gravitational pull they exert on each other, the subtle shifts in their luminosity, the complex dances of their orbits? Or perhaps that underground cavern lit by giant bioluminescent fungi is inhabited by sentient mineral formations, crystalline consciousnesses that grow and evolve over geological timescales, their thoughts like slow, intricate music resonating through the rock. You imagine these crystal beings communicating by emitting faint, precisely tuned vibrations, a symphony of the deep earth. And what of the empty places? The ones that seem to be defined by their solitude? Your hidden cove with the silver waves, or your abandoned hermitage in the spectral mountains? Are they truly empty, or are they inhabited by a single, subtle presence, the genius loci, the spirit of the place itself? Perhaps the cove is inhabited by the consciousness of the ocean from which it is formed, its moods reflected in the rhythm and color of the silver waves. The hermitage might be imbued with the lingering thoughts and spiritual energy of the countless mystics who once meditated there, their presence so potent it feels like a living entity. You can almost feel a gentle, welcoming intelligence in the very air of these empty places, a sense of being known, of being accepted. You might even imagine places that are populated by feelings, a city where grief has a physical form, a tall, cloaked figure who walks the misty streets, not to cause sorrow, but to gently gather it, to comfort it. Joy might be 1,000 tiny, shimmering lights that dance in the air, their laughter like wind chimes. Peace could be a deep, still pool in the city center, its surface reflecting a sky that is always calm. In such a place, you don't just experience emotions, you interact with their very essence. You could have a conversation with serenity or ask for guidance from wisdom, who might appear as an ancient, weathered stone, its surface covered in indecipherable, glowing runes. This is a truly surreal thought, to personify emotions as the citizens of an imagined world. The relationships between these inhabitants, are they based on hierarchies or on something more fluid, more egalitarian? In your city of silent scholars, perhaps wisdom is the only currency, and the most revered citizens are those who have accumulated the deepest understanding, regardless of age or origin. They might share their knowledge freely, their libraries open to all, their light language accessible to any who wish to learn. In your forest, the hermits might see themselves not as masters of the natural world, but as humble students, learning from the trees, the animals, the very stones. You picture a society where leadership is not about power, but about service, about fostering the well-being of the whole community, be it a community of people, creatures, or even sentient trees. What if some of these inhabitants are echoes of people you've known, or aspects of yourself? Perhaps that wise, cloaked figure poling the boat in your canal city has the gentle eyes of a beloved grandparent. Or the solitary hermit in your forest embodies your own longing for solitude and quiet contemplation. These imagined beings are not just random creations, but are often deeply resonant with your own personal history, your own inner landscape. They are the supporting cast in the drama of your soul, playing roles that help you to understand yourself, your desires, your fears. You might even have conversations with them in your mind, seeking their counsel, sharing your thoughts, feeling a sense of connection that is both imaginary and profoundly real. Consider the artists, the craftspeople in these realms. What do they create? In your city of glowing canals, perhaps there are artisans who weave tapestries from pure light, their patterns shifting and changing like living things, telling stories of the city's ancient past or its possible futures. In your humming forest, the hermits might carve intricate sculptures from fallen branches, not to sell, but as offerings to the spirit of the forest, their forms reflecting the deep organic wisdom of the trees. You imagine musicians who play instruments made of wind and water, their melodies capable of healing sorrow or inspiring profound insight. The art in these places is not for commerce or fame, but is an expression of the soul, a way of communing with the essence of reality. A bizarre image. A baker in an imagined village who kneads starlight into their bread, so that each loaf, when eaten, imparts a tiny spark of cosmic understanding. And the children, if there are children in these worlds, what are they like? Perhaps they are born with an innate understanding of the silent languages, a natural empathy for all living things. Their play might involve shaping clouds into fantastic creatures, or conversing with pebbles and flowers, or learning to navigate the dream worlds with effortless skill. Their education would not be about memorizing facts, but about cultivating wisdom, compassion, and a deep connection to the universe. You picture children in your hidden valley, their laughter like the sound of tiny silver bells, as they dance with friendly, glowing sprites that emerge from the heart of flowers. What if some of these inhabitants are not entirely benign? Not evil, perhaps, but mischievous, or enigmatic, or even a little melancholic. In a forgotten, crumbling quarter of your phantom city, there might dwell beings made of shadow and regret, who sigh in the lonely archways and whisper forgotten sorrows to those who linger too long. They are not malevolent, but simply are, part of the city's complex emotional ecosystem. Or, in the deepest, most tangled part of your ancient forest, there might be creatures who guard ancient secrets, and who test the worthiness of any who seek them, not through violence, but through riddles, illusions, or challenges to one's own deepest fears. These less purely idyllic inhabitants add a layer of depth, of complexity to your imagined worlds, making them feel more real, more complete. The unspoken languages intrigue you most, the idea of communicating without the pitfalls and limitations of words. Imagine a shared glance between two of those luminous-eyed canal keepers, conveying a whole volume of understanding, of shared history of mutual respect, or the way the humming trees in your forest convey their ancient knowledge to the hermits, not through lectures but through a slow cellular osmosis, a direct transmission of being. This silent understanding, this effortless empathy is perhaps one of the deepest longings that these imagined inhabitants represent. An open-ended question forms in your mind. If you could learn one unspoken language from one of your imagined realms, which would it be, and what is the first thing you would want to understand or convey? No answer is needed, just the quiet savoring of that possibility. What if these inhabitants are aware of you, their imaginer? What if, as you drift through their worlds in your mind, they sense your presence, your curiosity, your affection? Perhaps they welcome you, a silent, unseen guest. They might even leave subtle signs for you, a flower in your imagined path that wasn't there before, a particularly beautiful shimmer on the water of your glowing canals, a new, intriguing melody in the hum of your ancient trees. These are their quiet acknowledgments, their way of saying, "We know you are here. We are glad you visit." This thought creates a profound sense of connection, a feeling that you are not just a solitary dreamer but a participant in a shared, albeit imaginary, reality. You might even imagine yourself as one of them for a time. shedding your everyday identity and stepping into the role of a silent canal keeper or a forest hermit or a scholar in the Amber Library. What would it feel like to live that life, to see the world through those eyes, to communicate in those unspoken ways? This act of imaginative empathy can be incredibly liberating, allowing you to explore different modes of being, different ways of relating to the world, and to bring some of that wisdom, that peace, back into your waking life. You picture yourself pulling one of those silent boats, the cool, smooth wood of the pole in your hands, the phosphorescent water parting before you, a sense of profound, timeless purpose filling your being. The presences in these places, they don't make demands, they don't judge, they simply exist, in harmony with their surroundings, embodying the essence of their world. They are not striving for more, but are content with what is. This inherent contentment is perhaps one of their most alluring qualities. In a world that often feels driven by relentless ambition and dissatisfaction, these imagined beings offer a glimpse of a different way, a way of peace, of acceptance, of quiet joy in the simple act of being. You imagine them gathering at twilight in your hidden valley, not for any grand ceremony, but simply to sit together in silence, watching the stars appear in the deepening sky, their hearts filled with a quiet, shared gratitude. And what if these inhabitants are not fixed, but evolve as your own understanding, your own longings evolve? The cloaked figures in your canal city might, over years of your imagining, gradually reveal more of their nature, their wisdom deepening as your own does. The creatures in your forest might develop new, surprising abilities, reflecting your own expanding sense of possibility. These worlds and their inhabitants are not static museum pieces, but living, breathing ecosystems within your mind, constantly growing, constantly changing, in dialogue with your own unfolding consciousness. As you drift deeper, the distinction between you and these imagined beings begins to blur. Their peace becomes your peace, their wisdom, your wisdom. Their silent, unspoken languages echo in the quietest chambers of your own heart. You are not just an observer of their world, nor they merely inhabitants of your dream. You are intertwined, a symbiotic relationship between the imaginer and the imagined, each shaping and being shaped by the other. The citizens of your nowhere lands are, in a very real sense, aspects of your deepest, most authentic self, waiting to be recognized, to be embraced, to be lived. The landscapes of your heart's desire are now richly populated, not just with impossible architectures and sentient flora, but with beings who communicate in silent empathy and live in profound, unshakable peace. As you continue to drift on this soft current of late-night thought, your focus shifts from the what and who of these non-existent places to the how they make you feel. You begin to explore the intricate emotional cartography of these nowhere lands, mapping the unique contours of the yearning they evoke, the specific shades of comfort, melancholy, or bittersweet familiarity that wash over you when you allow your mind to wander their unseen shores. It's not just about missing a place, it's about the very specific flavor of that missing, the precise emotional resonance that these imagined realms hold for you. Remember that city of glowing canals, inhabited by serene, luminous-eyed keepers? When you visit there in your mind, what is the dominant emotion? Perhaps it's a profound sense of tranquility, a quiet so deep it feels like the universe holding its breath. The gentle lapping of the phosphorescent water, the silent glide of the boats, the faces of the keepers reflecting ancient wisdom. All these elements combine to create an atmosphere of almost sacred stillness. It's a peace that seeps into your very bones, untangling the knots of everyday stress, smoothing the frayed edges of your thoughts. You feel your own breath deepening, your heart rate slowing, as you immerse yourself in this imagined calm. This isn't just an absence of noise, it's a positive presence of serenity, a feeling you might spend a lifetime searching for in the waking world, and find, perfectly distilled, in this city of your mind. Then there's your ancient forest, where the colossal trees hum their forgotten lullabies and moss-skinned hermits listen to their wisdom. The emotion here might be different. Perhaps it's a sense of profound, timeless connection, a feeling of belonging not just to a place, but to the vast, interconnected web of all existence. The deep thrum of the trees resonates with something primal within you, a cellular memory of when humanity was more deeply entwined with the natural world. There's a gentle melancholy here too, perhaps a sorrow for that lost connection, but it's a sweet sorrow, tempered by the overwhelming sense of peace and the comforting presence of the ancient, sentient trees. You feel small, yet significant, a tiny thread in an immense, beautiful tapestry. This feeling of being held, of being part of something vast and enduring, is a powerful antidote to the often isolating nature of modern life. You consider the specific ache of familiarity these places evoke. You've never been there, not in any conventional sense. Yet, when you conjure the image of that hidden cove with its silver waves, or that winding alleyway in your dream city where the cobblestones are always warm, there's a powerful sense of recognition, as if you are remembering something, not inventing it. This isn't déjà vu in the usual sense. It's more profound, more resonant. It's as if these places are encoded in your spiritual DNA, ancestral memories of the soul. The emotion here is a bittersweet blend of homecoming and loss, the joy of almost remembering, and the ache of knowing it remains just beyond the veil of conscious recall. You feel like an exile who has caught a fleeting glimpse of their long-lost homeland. What about the emotion evoked by the inhabitants of these realms? When you imagine those beings who communicate through pure empathy, or those who live in perfect harmony with their surroundings, what do you feel? Perhaps it's a deep sense of hope, a quiet reassurance that such ways of being are, at least, conceivable. It might also be a gentle aspiration, a longing to embody some of their qualities in your own life, their serenity, their wisdom, their unspoken kindness. There's a comfort in their imagined existence, a feeling that somewhere, even if only in the ether of your mind, goodness and peace prevail. You might feel a sense of admiration, almost a reverence for these idealized beings, these embodiments of your highest ideals. You map the contours of the melancholy that often accompanies this yearning. It's not a sharp, painful grief, but a soft, pervasive sadness, like a fine mist. It's the melancholy of knowing these places are not real in the way your chair or your room is real. It's the sadness of the beautiful dream you can't quite hold on to upon waking. Yet, this melancholy is not entirely negative. It has a certain beauty, a poetic quality. It's the ache that reminds you of your capacity for deep feeling, your connection to something beyond the mundane. This gentle sadness is part of the emotional signature of these non-existent places, an integral shade in their complex palette. You imagine this melancholy as a specific color, perhaps a soft, dusty lavender, or a deep twilight blue, that permeates the very air of these realms. Then there's the unique comfort these places offer. It's a comfort that is tailor-made for your soul because, after all, you are its primary architect. If you are feeling overwhelmed, you can retreat to your silent city of canals, and the imaginary stillness will soothe you. If you are feeling disconnected, you can wander your humming forest, and the sense of ancient belonging will embrace you. If you are feeling creatively stifled, you can visit your amber library where books are written in light and feel a spark of inspiration. This comfort is profound because it arises from a perfect alignment between the imagined environment and your deepest inner needs. It's a bespoke solace available to you at any moment, just a thought away. You picture yourself curled up in a window seat in that amber library, bathed in warm, golden light, feeling utterly safe, utterly understood. This emotional cartography also includes peaks of pure, unadulterated joy. These moments might be fleeting, but they are intense. Perhaps it's the imagined taste of that fruit from your hidden valley, a burst of pure happiness on your tongue, or the sight of those coral-antlered deer engaging in their silent, communal dream, their antlers creating a shimmering dome of light. An image so beautiful it makes your heart swell with a sudden, inexplicable delight. Or the feeling of effortlessly understanding the light language of the scholars in your amber library. a moment of perfect, joyful, intellectual communion. These flashes of joy are like beacons in your inner landscape, reminders of the bliss that is possible, even if only in imagination. A bizarre image, tiny, joyful sprites, no bigger than your thumb, that live only in these moments of imagined bliss, their laughter sounding like the faintest tinkling of glass bells. You also explore the sense of mystery, of wonder, that these places evoke. They are never fully knowable, are they? There are always hidden corners, unexplored alleyways, unanswered questions. What lies beyond the highest spires of your silent city? What ancient secrets are guarded in the deepest roots of your humming trees? What forgotten constellations shine in the sky above your starlit desert oasis? This inherent mystery is part of their allure. It keeps you coming back, exploring, wondering. The emotion here is a delightful curiosity, a childlike sense of adventure, a thrilling awareness that there is always more to discover, even in a world of your own making. You feel like an explorer on the verge of a great new discovery, your heart quickening with anticipation. Can an emotion experienced in relation to a non-existent place be as valid, as transformative, as an emotion experienced in the real world? This philosophical question gently surfaces. If the peace you feel in your imagined city allows you to face your real day with a greater calm, is it any less real in its effect? If the connection you feel in your imaginary forest inspires you to be kinder to the actual nature around you, is its impact diminished by its origin in fantasy? Perhaps the source of an emotion is less important than its quality, its depth, and its ability to shape your being and your actions. You trace the subtle emotion of longing itself, this specific saudade for the unfound. It's a feeling that is both an ache and a sweetness. It's a hunger that is, in a strange way, satisfying to feel, because it speaks of a capacity for depth, for idealism, for a connection to something more. It's the feeling of a homing pigeon, released far from its loft, its entire being oriented towards a place it knows with an unshakable, instinctual certainty. This longing is a compass, always pointing towards your soul's true north. You might even find a certain beauty in the persistence of this longing, a testament to the enduring power of your inner vision. Consider the feeling of safety these places provide. In a world that can often feel chaotic, unpredictable, even threatening, your imagined realms are havens of perfect security. Nothing bad can happen there, unless you choose to imagine it for the sake of a more complex narrative. The inhabitants are peaceful, the environment is benign. You are utterly safe to be yourself, to explore your deepest thoughts and feelings without fear of judgment or harm. This profound sense of safety is incredibly restorative. It's like finding a hidden sanctuary, a secret garden where you can let down all your defenses and simply be. You imagine a particular room in one of your phantom houses. A room with a comfortable, worn armchair, a crackling, silent if you prefer, fireplace, and windows that look out onto a landscape of impossible, serene beauty. This room is your ultimate emotional fortress. Then there's the bittersweet emotion that arises when you try to share these places with others. You mentioned before the difficulty of articulating them. When you attempt to describe the unique emotional atmosphere of your glowing canal city, and you see that flicker of incomprehension in someone else's eyes, there's a pang. It's a feeling of gentle isolation, a reminder that these inner worlds are, by their very nature, deeply personal, perhaps even solipsistic. Yet, sometimes, rarely, you might find someone who seems to understand, someone whose eyes light up with a similar distant recognition, and in that moment, there's a profound, joyful feeling of connection, a shared citizenship in the Republic of Dreams. You too, their expression seems to say. You know that place too? You map the feeling of inspiration that these places can generate. Spending time in your amber library might not just be comforting, but might spark new ideas, new creative impulses. Wandering your humming forest might not just be peaceful, but might lead to new insights about your own life, your own path. These places are not just passive retreats. They can be active catalysts for growth and creativity. The emotion here is one of excitement, of burgeoning potential, of doors opening in your mind. You feel your own creative energy stirring, your imagination kindling, as you immerse yourself in these fertile inner landscapes. You might suddenly understand the solution to a problem you've been wrestling with, the insight arriving like a gentle gift from the inhabitants of your imagined world. What about the feeling of timelessness? In these non-existent places, time often seems to flow differently, or not at all. Your city of canals might have existed, unchanging for millennia. Your ancient forest might be outside of time altogether. When you visit, you step out of the relentless, linear progression of seconds and minutes, and enter a realm of eternal present, or of deep geological time. This can be incredibly liberating. The pressures of deadlines, the anxieties about the future, the regrets about the past, they all seem to fade away in these timeless realms. The emotion is one of profound release, of being untethered from the tyranny of the clock. You imagine the very air in these places vibrating with this sense of eternity, a stillness that is not static but full of infinite potential. And the feeling of rightness, of this is how things should be. When you experience the harmony of your imagined societies, the beauty of their environments, the wisdom of their inhabitants, there's often a quiet internal nod of agreement. Yes, this feels right. This is a reflection of a deeper order, a more authentic way of being. This emotion is not one of judgment on the real world, but rather a recognition of an ideal, an archetype of perfection that resides within your own consciousness. It's a deeply satisfying feeling, this resonance with an inner truth. You might feel a quiet sense of conviction, a strengthening of your own values as you immerse yourself in these worlds that embody them so perfectly. You also acknowledge the subtle, almost shy emotion of possessiveness, or perhaps preciousness. These are your places. You built them, or discovered them within yourself. They are your secret, your treasure. There's a reluctance to expose them too much to the harsh light of the everyday world, a desire to protect their fragile, ethereal beauty. This isn't selfishness, but a tender custodianship of something deeply personal and valuable. You feel like a guardian of a rare, delicate flower, one that only blooms in the hidden garden of your mind. An open-ended question floats gently. If you could bottle the primary emotion of your most cherished, non-existent place and keep it with you, what would that emotion be? And how would you use its influence in your daily life? The question isn't about a literal bottle, of course, but about identifying and integrating the core emotional essence of these inner sanctuaries. The emotional landscape of these nowhere lands is as rich and varied as any physical geography. There are mountains of joy, valleys of peaceful melancholy, rivers of profound connection, forests of serene mystery. And you, the explorer, the cartographer, navigate these inner terrains with a growing sense of familiarity, of understanding. Each emotion is a landmark, a clue to the deeper meaning these places hold for you. They are not just pretty pictures in your mind, but potent emotional engines, capable of shaping your mood, your perspective, your very sense of self. You realize that this emotional cartography is, in essence, a map of your own heart, your own soul. The places you long for, the feelings they evoke, these are reflections of your deepest needs, your highest aspirations, your most tender vulnerabilities. To explore these non-existent places is to explore yourself. And in doing so, you find not just escape, but a deeper, more resonant kind of reality, a truth that is written not in facts and figures, but in the subtle, powerful language of feeling. The ache of missing these places is the ache of the soul recognizing its own vast, unfulfilled potential for beauty, for peace, for connection. And that, in itself, is a profound and valuable emotion to hold. The emotional contours of your imagined realms are now vividly mapped, their unique atmospheres of melancholy, peace, and profound familiarity charted within the landscape of your mind. As the night deepens further, and the pull of sleep becomes almost irresistible, your thoughts drift towards a final, gentle reflection. How do these non-existent places, these ethereal nowhere lands you've so lovingly constructed and explored, function in your inner life. You begin to realize that they are more than just whimsical fancies or escapes from reality. They are, in a very real sense, internal sanctuaries, anchors of peace in the often turbulent waters of your consciousness, offering a peculiar, yet potent, kind of solace and inspiration. They are the unfound havens where your spirit can truly rest and recharge. Remember your city of glowing canals, with its profound, sacred stillness. When the noise of the everyday world becomes too clamorous, when your thoughts race like frantic, untamed horses, you find you can retreat there, just by closing your eyes and conjuring its image. The silent, phosphorescent water, the serene, luminous-eyed keepers, the ancient, humming architecture, you can access a measure of its peace. It's like having a private meditation chamber within your mind, always available, perfectly attuned to your needs. This city isn't just a pretty picture. It's a functional sanctuary, a tool for cultivating inner calm. You find your breath slowing, your shoulders relaxing as you mentally walk its quiet, waterside paths. It's a place where the relentless demands of the world cannot reach you, and your ancient forest, where the colossal trees thrum with forgotten lullabies and the air is thick with timeless wisdom. This becomes your sanctuary when you feel disconnected, alienated, or adrift in the complexities of modern life. By immersing yourself in its imagined presence, you tap into that deep sense of belonging, that connection to something vast, ancient, and enduring. The imagined feel of the soft, glowing moss underfoot, the resonant hum of the trees in your bones, the scent of damp earth and sweet resin. These sensations ground you, root you, remind you that you are part of a larger, sacred whole. This forest is your anchor to the primal, to the elemental, a place where you can shed the superficial layers of your identity and reconnect with your most authentic, earth-bound self. You might go there when you need to make a difficult decision, seeking the quiet, non-judgmental wisdom of those ancient, humming trees. These non-existent places, you realize, offer a unique kind of solace because they are perfectly yours. They are not subject to the imperfections, the disappointments, or the unpredictability of the external world. Your hidden cove with its silver waves will always be perfectly serene. Your amber library will always be filled with the warm, golden light of inspiration. The inhabitants of your imagined realms will always greet you with silent understanding and empathy. This unwavering reliability is profoundly comforting. In a world of constant change and uncertainty, these inner sanctuaries are steadfast, unchanging havens of peace. You can trust them. They will never let you down. You imagine returning to your special room with a comfortable armchair and the view of an impossible landscape, and feeling that sense of perfect, unassailable safety wash over you, a feeling that everything, in this particular corner of your being, is exactly as it should be. They also serve as powerful sources of inspiration. When you feel creatively blocked, or when your own world seems a little too gray and mundane, a visit to one of these vibrant inner landscapes can be like a fresh infusion of color and light. The impossible architecture of your dream cities, the magical flora of your hidden valleys, the profound wisdom of your imagined inhabitants, these can spark new ideas, new perspectives, new ways of seeing. Your city, where grief and joy are physical beings, might inspire a poem, a story, a painting. Your musicians, who play instruments of wind and water, might inspire you to seek out or create music that touches a deeper, more ethereal chord. These places are not just passive retreats, they are active wellsprings of creative energy. You might picture a specific detail, say, the way light filters through the translucent jade towers of that one city, and that image alone could be the seed for an entire artistic project. Moreover, these unfound sanctuaries can act as emotional regulators. When you are overwhelmed by negative emotions, anxiety, anger, sadness, you can consciously choose to shift your focus to one of these inner havens by immersing yourself in its specific emotional atmosphere. The peace of the canal city, the joy of the fruit valley, the timeless wisdom of the forest. You can gently steer your own emotional state towards a more balanced, more positive place. It's like changing the weather in your own mind. This is not about suppressing or denying difficult emotions, but about accessing a resource, a counterbalance, that resides within you. You imagine being caught in a mental storm of worry and then consciously choosing to transport yourself to your serene, sun-drenched imaginary beach, feeling the warmth on your skin, hearing the gentle rhythm of the waves, until the storm within you begins to subside. Could it be that these internal sanctuaries are not just products of our imagination, but are also reflections of a deeper, innate human need for spaces of beauty, peace, and meaning? Spaces that the external world doesn't always provide. This philosophical prompt settles into your awareness. Perhaps the act of creating and visiting these non-existent places is a way of fulfilling that fundamental need, of tending to the health of our own souls in a world that often neglects it. They are the mind's natural way of seeking balance, of creating its own medicine. These places can also be repositories for your highest ideals, your most cherished values. In your city of silent scholars, where wisdom is the only currency, you store your ideal of a society based on knowledge and understanding. In your forest, where all beings live in harmony, you keep alive your vision of ecological balance and interspecies respect. By visiting these places, you reaffirm these values within yourself. You keep them from being eroded by the cynicism or compromises of the everyday world. They are like inner temples dedicated to the noblest aspects of human potential. You might go to your city of perfect justice, where all beings are treated with absolute fairness and compassion, to remind yourself of what you truly believe in, to strengthen your own moral compass. And the inhabitants of these realms, they can become like inner guides or trusted confidants. Remember the wise, luminous-eyed keepers of your canals, or the moss-skinned hermits of your forest. When you are faced with a dilemma or feeling lost, you can imagine seeking their counsel. What would the hermit advise with their deep connection to the wisdom of nature? What silent understanding would the canal keeper offer with their ancient, serene gaze? Their imagined responses, filtered through your own intuition, can often provide surprising clarity, a fresh perspective. They are the wise elders of your own internal village. You might even have a specific council of these imagined beings, whom you consult in times of need, each offering a unique perspective based on the qualities they embody. A bizarre image. You, sitting in a circle with a talking badger, a silent tree spirit, and a being made of pure starlight, all offering you very serious, very helpful, and completely imaginary advice. These sanctuaries also offer a unique form of freedom. In your imagined worlds, you are not bound by the limitations of your physical body or the constraints of societal norms or even the laws of physics. You can fly if you wish. You can breathe underwater. You can communicate telepathically. You can build cities of pure light. This sense of unbounded freedom is incredibly liberating, a reminder of the infinite potential that resides within your own consciousness. It's a playground for the soul, where you can explore any possibility, any mode of being, without restriction. You imagine yourself soaring over the highest peaks of your spectral mountains, the wind of an impossible world rushing past you, feeling a thrill of pure, untethered exhilaration. What about the role these places play in your dreams? Perhaps the reason they feel so familiar, so deeply resonant, is because they are recurring locations in your actual dream life, landscapes your sleeping mind returns to again and again. Your conscious construction of them during these late-night wanderings might be a way of strengthening those dream places, making them more stable, more accessible, even more healing when you visit them in sleep. You are, in effect, becoming a lucid architect of your own dream sanctuaries. You might even set an intention before sleep to visit your glowing canal city or your humming forest, hoping to find solace or insight there during the night. These unfound havens can also be a source of quiet, personal strength. Knowing that you have these rich, beautiful inner worlds to retreat to can make the challenges of the external world feel a little less daunting. It's like having a secret treasure, a hidden wellspring of peace and inspiration that no one can take away from you. This inner resource can foster a sense of resilience, a quiet confidence in your ability to navigate life's difficulties. You carry these landscapes within you, like portable pocket dimensions of serenity, and sometimes, just the memory of one of these places, a fleeting image or a recalled sensation, can be enough to shift your mood, to bring a moment of beauty into an ordinary day. You might be stuck in traffic, feeling frustrated, and then suddenly, the image of your hidden cove with its silver waves will flash into your mind, and for a heartbeat you'll feel that cool, clean air, hear the gentle lapping of the water, and a small measure of peace will settle over you. These are tiny sips from your inner well, sustaining you through the dry patches of life. The missing of these places, that bittersweet ache you've explored, even that can be a form of solace. It reminds you that you are a being who yearns for beauty, for peace, for meaning. It connects you to a deeper, more poetic dimension of yourself. The longing itself is a sign that your soul is alive, that it is reaching for something more. And in a world that often encourages numbness or cynicism, this capacity for profound, albeit ethereal longing is a precious thing to hold on to. It's the ache that tells you you're still dreaming, still hoping, still capable of imagining better worlds. An open-ended question forms, as soft as a whisper from one of your imagined inhabitants. If these non-existent places are true sanctuaries for your spirit, what is the single most important quality they offer that you wish you could bring more fully into your waking life? Is it their peace, their beauty, their wisdom, their sense of connection? Contemplating this doesn't require an answer, but a gentle inward listening. You realize that these places are not an escape from life, but an escape into a deeper, more essential aspect of life, of your own being. They're not about denying reality, but about enriching it, by cultivating an inner landscape that can nourish and sustain you. They are the secret gardens where your soul can bloom, tended by your own loving imagination. And the beauty of it is, these sanctuaries are always with you. They require no travel, no expense, no special equipment. Only the willingness to close your eyes, to quiet your mind, and to step across the threshold of your own imagination. As you drift now towards the very edge of sleep, these sanctuaries feel closer than ever. The glowing canals shimmer just beyond your eyelids. The hum of the ancient trees resonates in the quiet rhythm of your breathing. The scent of unknown flowers from your hidden valley seems to fill the air around you. You are not just imagining these places. You are, for these fleeting, precious moments, inhabiting them. And in that inhabitation you find a peace that is profound, a comfort that is absolute, an inspiration that is boundless. These non-existent places have become your truest homes, the unfound havens where your spirit is always welcome, always safe, always free. They are the quiet, luminous landscapes of your soul, waiting patiently for your return night after night. The line between your waking mind and the landscapes of your deepest imagination begins to dissolve. The fan's soft hum is the wind whispering through the jade towers of an unbuilt city. The slight pressure of your pillow is the mossy bank beside a dreaming river. You are there, and here simultaneously, held in a liminal space where all beloved places, real and imagined, merge into a single peaceful whole. The longing fades, replaced by a gentle sense of arrival, of being precisely where you are meant to be, in the quiet sanctuary of your own unfolding dream. The gates of your non-existent haven swing silently